When I wasn't even born yet, I have an older sister. My older sister of 3. She couldn't say Jamison. She had this really like bad lisp, and she came up with JJ, and she just kept saying JJ, JJ. So it just really stuck, and I was born, and I ran along with it, and I tell everyone it's JJ. My middle name is Bashan. Starts with a V, so it's just kind of like a fun way to, a cool little nickname. Shout out Brea, My dad used to play in these pro-ams when we lived in Salt Lake, and I remember putting on my brand new Carmelo Anthony's that we bought. And I was always playing these Spider-Man shoes, and my dad got me some Carmelo Anthony's, and I was lacing them up, and I think I was like 3 years old at the time. I actually have a picture on my Instagram, and we was just kind of, it was halftime, and he'd come play with me, and I'd dribble, and I'd just watch him. And I remember going to watch him play open gym at 5 a.m. at the church every morning, and those were my favorite things to do, is just be around basketball. So he'd come knock on my door at like 5 a.m. be like, "Are you you gonna come watch me play today?" And I'd jump up, and I'd hurry and grab a banana, put my basketball clothes on. It'd snow just like this, and I'd go watch him every morning play basketball. And I was just always around the game, man. It was different. It was way different. Luxembourg, it's like European basketball, and then I went over to Japan. It was like a big turnaround from just the culture, how the way of life. That was my big adjustment of doing little things like taking my shoes off in certain places I go to, and the food I eat. And but the people are great. My teammates were great. The organization, they treated me very well. So, my time there was short, but it was honestly like an experience of a lifetime. And that would be, I came home and was having a million stories of my time in Tokyo, and my time of just, little struggles like dropping all my groceries outside, and only had a bike, so I got to pick them all up. And, those are the fun stories that I get to tell to my friends and family. And, Japan was great, really, really great. It would have to be Stephen A. Smith. It would just have to be. I watch him every morning, right? And so before a little thing I like to do outside of basketball is journalism, right? So I like to journal a lot, just in general. I like to read a lot of books. So when it comes to him, it's like he's so knowledgeable about the game of basketball in a different perspective. So like being a basketball player, you lose track of being a fan of the game and knowing the little things about the game, because you got to worry about who you're guarding, the matchup, and what tomorrow's game is going to be like. But for just the things he talks about, from sports to about life, and his new book that he put out. And if you watch the Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube and his podcast and stuff, he's very knowledgeable. And so it's just a different perspective about the game that I like, where he comes from. And then it's like I could kind of wrap it into, I see what he was talking about with this and that. And it's just a different perspective about basketball. Just like different people like to pick people's brain about life, but basketball specifically, because I love basketball. So honestly, I'll start with First Take, but then once that kind of dries down, I immediately go to NBA. They are full of characters, man. My headphones, gotta have them. Not necessarily because I like to just ignore people, but I just love music, and everywhere you go, it's just like you always put your headphones on and just kind of zone out, and whether on the bus or whatever. I mean, and I'm starting to travel a lot, going to all these different countries. So putting on my headphones sometimes is like a peacemaker. It's just here's my music, here's what I like, and, always adjusting to the food and culture and stuff. It's the music that I get to choose and listen to. It's always personal. So it's great. I gotta have the headphones and some chapstick, my goodness, especially out in Finland. My lips, guys, I'm trying to tell you. I'm gonna have to go with NBA YoungBoy. That's just been my guy since Really, 2016. It was one of his like early albums. He's like 2 years younger than me, but I was just like, I remember listening to him in my friend's garage, and I was like, who's this guy? And so I just kind of like got hooked onto him, and he was dropping albums. Everyone says he drops too much, but you know, what's too much when he's your favorite rapper, right? Like a win-win. But yeah, NBA YoungBoy, I mean, outside of the, you know, like rapping and stuff, he's got some lyrics that like can actually hit home, especially if you can relate to him. So definitely NBA YoungBoy. Shout out YB, man.